Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome to the next game in the 1987 American League replay. We're at Fenway Park in Boston, where it'll be the Boston Red Sox taking on the Cleveland Indians. Second game of the May 28th block. Uh, Game number 309 on the replay. And it'll be right-hander John Leister just got called up, and he will be making the start for Boston against Steve Carlton. We are at Fenway Park. It's a hitter's paradise. Singles are 1 to 19 for lefties, 1 to 15 for righties. Homers 1 to 7 for lefties, 1 to 10 for righties. And with the call up of Leister, the Red Sox have sent down pitcher Jeff Sellers to make room for Leister on the roster. So we got Leister against Carlton. This will be Leister's first appearance, so he has no one-loss record. Carlton enters the game 2-2. Mostly in relief. I think this might be his either first or second start of the season. And Carlton will eventually get traded to Minnesota, but right now he's still with the Cleveland Indians. Good morning, Jeff. Hope you're doing well. Of course, back to my McDonald's coffee, my traditional weekday coffee. Javelia was, when I was working, was really a what I called a weekend treat. I just bought it to have on the weekends, to have something special on the weekends. But now, as the missus likes to say now, every day is a weekend. So, but I still kind of keep that tradition going where I use that for the use McDonald's during the week and then the Javelia on the weekend. Not a highlight game here. Cleveland's 19-27, Boston's 18-27. So there's not playoff implications or anything like that, but it's on the schedule, so we play it. That's just the way it works. When a game is on the schedule, you play it. What can you say? All right. So John Leister, and I'm still not sure if that's how you pronounce it. I forgot to go on YouTube. I don't even know if he's such a minuscule pitcher. I don't know if there's even anything on YouTube about him. But just looking at the name Leister, I'm assuming it's Leister and not Leister, but your guess is as good as mine. But with Leister's 9.20 ERA and Fenway Park's propensity to allow offense, this game could get out of hand very, very easy. We shall see. Got our dice all ready to go. Got the game up on the Strat-O-Matic computer all ready to go. Again, Leister has no one-loss record, so there's nothing to go over there. You can see actually on the card here that the guy made for me from his computer has all the stats here, so there's nothing really to worry about. It is nice finally having the wild pitch and balk ratings on the card. That makes it nice, and the defensive rating, where it's a 3E0. So that's nice. Brett Butler will lead things off for Cleveland. Definitely got his stats going for you. He is hitting 417 on the replay and 103 at bats. He's up to 417. One of the league leaders in hitting, but I don't think he's got enough at bats because he was injured for quite a bit. So I think on the Strat computer you got to have 150 at bats to be qualified for the league leaders. I'm not sure yet, but I think he's under. The more bats he gets, he'll get his qualifications up, but his average obviously is going to probably go down just based on percentages. He had 295 real world, so the 417 is not going to last for that long. All right, so we're underway. Leister to Butler. 6'8", a left hand. That's a solid. Look at all these hits on his card. 6'8" is a solid single for Brett Butler, and it's not a pretty sight here for Leister. He's got a +2 hold, and Gedman's a -1, so it's a +1. So it would be a 1 to 14 if Butler got the lead. He's going to try for the lead. Needs a 2 through 8 or a 12. Gets a 9. He can't get the lead. Go figure. So he won't go anywhere. Hello, Chuck. Good to see you. And Julio Franco, the batter. Julio Franco played mainly at short in the beginning of the year. Now, all of a sudden, they moved him to second the last couple of games and had Corey Snyder play short. I think that experiment's going to go awry pretty quickly because Snyder's a 4E48, so I think they move him back to right field before too long and put Franco back where he belongs at shortstop. But right now, he's at second base, where he's much worse. He's a 4E19, where he's only a 2E26 at short. So kind of out of position. But that's what they've got him going to do right now. 293 on the replay, 2 homers, 24 driven, and he hit 319 on the real world. It's a 4-8, and that's another single 2 stars right off Leister. Boy, Leister can benefit. He would benefit, I think, by going off the batter. Most pitchers benefit going off their own card, but I think in this case, he'd benefit going off the batter cards more often. And now Julio Franco is going to try to get the lead, 2 through 5. Does not get the lead. He'll hold. So runners on the corners with nobody out. And, of course, this early in the game and with all these runs that are going to be scored, they need outs. So they're playing back for the double play. They'll gladly trade 2 outs for that run. And that is some good coffee, as Jeff would say. All right, Pat Tabler hitting 342 on the replay. 4 homers, 27 driven in. He hit 307 real world. That's a 3-9, and that's a fly ball center field B ? So it's possible sacrifice fly. Burks in center field is a 0 arm. Butler's a 16. You add 2 to it, makes it an 18. So 1 to 18, he's going to score. And he does. So it's going to be a sacrifice fly from Pat Tabler to center field as Burks had no chance to get the speedy Butler. And it's 1-0 Cleveland. Just like that. But for Leister, that wasn't too bad. You got the out at least. And now you get the very much struggling Joe Carter. I gave him the thumbnail picture just to try to boost his mojo to see if it would help him. But he's really, really struggling. On the real season, Joe Carter hit 264 with 32 homers. But in the replay, he is struggling at 181, and that's in 204 at bats. So he's had enough at bats now to, we can't say it's early anymore. It's 204 at bats. That's a pretty good number of at bats. It's hitting 181, 8 homers, 16 driven in. So let's see what he does here against Leister. 2-6. It's a ground ball shortstop A. It's a tailor-made double play. 6-4-3. So one struggler helps out another struggler. And that will take care of things. Double play, tailor-made double play. Cleveland only comes away with 1 run. That's somewhat surprising, but Leister got a break by getting those last 2. You notice the 2 outs he got. The last 2 outs he got came off the batter card, didn't come off his card. So that's where he needs to live if he's going to succeed. It's much like the weaker hitters who have to live off the pitcher card to get a chance to get hits. The same philosophy. All right, so hello, Dr. D. Hello, Praisen. All right, so Steve Carlton. On the replay, he is 2-2 with 2 saves, a 4.83 ERA, 32 innings pitched, 30 hits, 17 walks, 17 strikeouts. Real world combined between Cleveland and Minnesota, he was 6-14 with a 574. Of course, this is Steve Carlton's last year. And when I was talking earlier about some of the players that were in Jeff's 69 replay, I mentioned Reggie Jackson. I forgot to mention Steve Carlton. He was also in that replay, along with, I think, at least a few others. But I know Steve Carlton was in that replay with the 69 Cardinals at that point, along with Phil Necro and some others, and some guys that have been around the block a while. All right, here's Ellis Burks. He's hitting 228, 4 homers, 10 driven in, and 100 at bats. 101 at bats officially. He hit 272 real world. See what we can do against Carlton. 1-8. That's a solid single. Good start for Ellis Burks. So Burks gets a base hit, and Carlton is a 0 hold. He's a -1, but Dempsey's a +1. So 0 hold, 1 to 19. So you know he's going to go for it. 5 or 6 gets him the lead. Does not get it, so he will hold. And here's Marty Grinnin Barrett. He's hitting 299, or you can call him Marty Rona Barrett if you want. 299, no homers, 8 driven in. He hit 293 real world. 6-6 for Carlton against the righty is a single to center field. So this could be, well, you're talking about a slugfest. This could be whoever gets to 10 first might win kind of thing. First and second, nobody. I almost didn't want to play this game online because I knew it was going to be a disaster, but got to play him as they lie, to use the golf analogy. All right, here's Wade Boggs hitting 348 on the replay, 9 homers, 21 driven in. He at 363 real world. Carlton to Boggs. Carlton can use that double play as well. 6-5, but he's not going to get it. 6-5 is a 1-2 triple and a 2-20 double. So it's a double to center field. And with the way they're hitting, why would you risk a base runner? Just leave him at second base. tied at 1, but now second and third, nobody out. And this has all the makings of a 4 or 5 run inning for Boston. So there's no sense taking chances on the base pass. Here's Jim Rice, left fielder. Rice on the replay hitting .313, 3 homers, 20 driven in. He hit .277, 277 real world. Cleveland's infield is back. They're desperate in need of outs. 2-6, and that's a ground ball shortstop A. So that will get the run home. When it's hit to the middle of the infield, the run does come across. Boggs will hold at second. But it's an RBI ground out. They could have stopped the run, but if that was an A+, if we hit an A+ there and it goes through, you're just in bad shape. So Barrett comes in to score on the ground out from Corey Snyder to the first baseman Carter for out number 1, but it is 2-1 now. Favor of Boston, but they're down to 1 base runner at second base, and that's it. And here comes the DH, Don Baylor. Baylor hitting .247 on the replay, 5 homers, 22 driven in. He at .245 real world. Carlton to Baylor, 2-5, and that's a ground ball shortstop A with a plus sign. So had we hit that last time with the infield in, if the infield had been in, that would have been a base hit. But as it is, it's a ground ball to short. Again, Boggs will hold at second base. And if Carlton can get out of this with just the 2 runs allowed, he'll probably feel fortunate. So back in the starting lineup after being out for a little bit is Dwight Evans. He's back. He's hitting .345 on the replay, 7 homers, 31 driven in. He at .305 real world. It is now a clutch situation with Boggs at second base and 2 outs. And in the clutch for Evans, he gets 2 hits. He gets one on .310 and .32. Those are boosts to him. But we get a 4-5, which is a fly to left, and that's going to end the inning. So Carlton holds Boston to 2 runs, and at the end of 1, it is 2-1. And it looks like it's going to be one of those games where it's just going to be first 1 to 10 wins, maybe. I don't know. Hello, Kathy. Good to see you. And Jeremiah. Jeremiah has a knack for getting those emoji trivia questions from Kathy. He seems to be on the ball very early with those. His brain's working in sync there to get those figured out. So we'll have one of those in the top of the third. If we can get there. It might take 20 minutes to get there the way these offenses are going, or lack of pitching. All right, here's Mel Hall, left fielder. He's hitting .297 on the replay, 5 homers, 17 driven in. He at .280 real world. That's a 6-7, and we're back off Leicester again, which is a bad thing for him. We've had 5 at-bats. 3 of them have come off the pitcher card. All have been hits. 2 have come off the batter cards. They've all been outs, including a double play. So that tells you where Leicester needs to hang out if he can. Hall, he's not going to try anything. Here's Brooke Jacoby. Why run yourself out of an inning when your batters are just knocking the ball all over the place? So Jacoby hitting .339 on the replay, 7 homers and 28 driven in. He at even .300 real world. 5-2. We're back to that again. It's a split chance, 1-9. That's a 14. So that split chance helped him out and made it a line out to short. In advanced and not super advanced, that would have been another hit. But he got a break there because it's super advanced. And that's 1 away. So Jacoby is out of there. That brings up Dave Clark, recent call-up. Clark only had 87 at-bats all season, hit .207 real world. In the replay, he's hitting .333. That's 4 for 12, so take it with a grain of salt. But 2 of those 4 hits are doubles, and he has 3 runs batted in. Nothing on the havoc. Clark, 1-3. That's a ballpark blast at Fenway Park. He's a 1-7, and the double die is a 6. The double die chimes in just in time, and Dave Clark, who hit 3 home runs in 87 at-bats on the 87 season, gets his first home run here on at-bat 13. It is a 2-run homer for Dave Clark, courtesy of Fenway Park. His first home run of the season. So in 13 at-bats, he now has 1 home run. He had 3 in 87 at-bats. And the Tribe are back out in front 3-1. So that'll bring up Corey Snyder. Snyder on the replay is hitting 243, 8 homers, 23 driven in. He hit 236 real world. 4-2, that's going to be a walk. So again, all these results coming off of the pitcher card are not going in his favor. Boston bullpen may be activated early in this game. You never know. Corey Snyder not going to be held. Here's Rick Dempsey, the veteran catcher. Dempsey hitting 232 on the replay, a homer and 11 driven in. He only hit 177 real world. (1-9), and that's a ground ball double play, 5-4-3. So again, Leister catches a break off the batter card, gets the double play, minimizes the damage. But it's still 2 runs, courtesy of Dave Clark. But again, it could have been a lot worse, obviously. 5-4-3 and round the horn double play. When we go to the bottom of the second, it's Cleveland 3 and Boston 2. And this is not unexpected. This was totally expected to see these runs coming out against 2 struggling pitchers. So here's Bill Buckner against Carlton. Buckner on the replay is hitting 242, 3 homers, 20 driven in. He hit 286 real world. Lefty on lefty, 3-6, and that's a fly to center for Brett Butler. And don't forget, top of the next inning, we'll have a emoji trivia. So be on the lookout for that and get your thinking caps on and see if you can do better or as good as Mr. Jeremiah. Here's Gedman, 2-6, and he flies to center as well. Forgot to give his numbers. On the replay, he's hitting 143. No homers, 5 driven in. He hit 205 real world. Here he flies to center, so that average is going to go down a little bit more. 2 quick outs on 2 flyouts to center, so Carlton tried to establish something. Here's Spike Owen, shortstop, number 9 hitter. He's hitting 206 on the replay, a homer and 3 driven in. He hit 259 real world. 3-8 against the lefty, and that's another fly to center. So all 3 outs go to Brett Butler, and that's going to end the inning. So Carlton gets through the bottom of the Boston order without any problems. We go to the top of the third. It's Cleveland 3, Boston 2. And if you would turn your attention now to the chat, and we'll see what the emoji trivia question is and see if anybody can figure it out. See if it's tough enough for me to hit. Here we go. There it is. So you guys take a look at it and see if you can figure this thing out. I'm not good. I'm not good with emojis for whatever. I just don't use emojis much, so I'm not really good with them. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys to figure this thing out. Maybe Jeremiah, who has been hot on those lately, maybe he's got something. Maybe Jeff. Maybe Dr. D or Chuck can chime in. Who knows? While I'm taking a sip of, that's, even though it's McDonald's coffee and not Chevelle, it's still good coffee. Nice cool morning. It's like 39 degrees when I woke up this morning. So on a cool morning, and I do consider 39 degrees to be cool, not cold, hot coffee is very, very good. I like cooler weather. The cooler the better, as long as it's not below freezing. That's where I draw the line. If every day was 55 degrees, I'd be happy. So far, no takers on the. You must have everybody stumped here. I mean, I don't have a clue, Kathy, but I think you might have people stumped. And I don't know if you can give a hint without giving it away or not. That might be a little rough. Let's see here. Yeah, I have no clue. No clue on that. Not summer school. Because it's the calendar, July 17th, looks like a school building. I don't know if it's summer school. There was a movie called Summer School with Mark Harmon on it, but I don't think that would be popular enough for you to throw a trivia question at us with, but who knows? Main character initials are FB, okay? FB, main character is FB. Main character is FB. FB doesn't ring a bell. Maybe that will give somebody a hint, but right now I'm still in the same place I was before. So I don't know. But if anybody knows anything about FB as the main character, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Okay, that sounds about right. That could be it. And he got it. Good going there, Chuck. I guess the FB clue gave it to him. I don't know, but Ferris Bueller, absolutely. Very good, Chuck. You win the. I don't have a Mike Ike or Ike Mike or whatever those little jelly bean things are to give you, but I'll give you attaboy. And Kathy can give you a 5-bell salute there. Way to go. Thank you for that question, Kathy. All right, here is Brett Butler to lead things off. That's a 4-6 under Leicester's card, but he does get the out this time on a fly ball to center. So Leicester able to get the leadoff man out, and that's huge for him. And he got it out off his own card, which is even more huge. So there's one away as Butler is retired. Brings up Julio Franco. 3-8, and that's a ground ball to short. So 2 up and 2 down. How about that? We might have a 1-2-3 inning. School and a sneezing face. Okay. I've watched the movie I've never sat down and watched the whole movie. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I know he fakes being sick, and he's got this elaborate setup to fool everybody, and then he goes off and with his friends and has a great day off or whatever. But I don't know all the particulars on it. All right. I just know Matthew Broderick's the main character. I don't know any other characters that are there. I've seen them before, but I don't know the long noses for lion. Okay, there you go. All right, here's Pat Tabler. 6-7, and that's going to be trouble again off Leicester's card. 1-16 is going to be a double, so it's a 2-out double for Tabler. There's 2 saving graces there for Leicester. Is 1, there are already 2 outs, and 2, you got Joe Carter coming up, who's been in the deepest slump of anybody in the replay. Case in point, hit to a double play his first time up. Now he's in a clutch situation. And I don't know if that's going to help him either. Look at this. 1-9 and 110, he loses hits. So that's going to even add fuel to his struggling. Now I say that he's going to hit a home run. I mean, just the way it works when that happens. 3-6. Now he's going to ground it to short, and that's going to end the inning. So that was, again, the saving grace for Leicester is you had Joe Carter coming up. So the thumbnail is not helping Joe Carter's mojo at all. He is 0 for 2. So we go to the bottom of the third, and here comes top of the order for Boston, Ellis Burks. Burks singled and scored his first time up. But Carlton has retired 6 in a row. 2-8 until now. That's a leadoff double for Ellis Burks. Back come the Red Sox. Ellis Burks, a leadoff double, and that'll bring up Marty Barrett. For 8, and that's a strikeout for Carlton. That's the first strikeout for either pitcher in this game, and it took to the bottom of the third to get here. All right, here is Wade Boggs. Boggs had an RBI double his first time up. 5-6, and this is a ground ball shortstop X. We are looking at Snyder, which is not good, a 4E48. That is not good. 4E48. And the double dot comes with a 3, so you know it's not good. That's going to be a single 2 stars, and that will score Burks to tie this game. We'll check on an error. So just to be official, a 4 and a 3 is a single 2 stars. 4E48, and that is a 15 on an E48. And it's a 15 right there, smack dab, the last number of the 3 on the E48. So not only is it going to be a single, but it'll be an error. E6 on Snyder, but the RBI is given to Boggs because he would have scored on the two asterisks without the error. The error just allows Boggs to go to second base. So So we are tied. I'm sorry, we're not tied. We are tied. Why didn't they have Burke scoring there on the computer? Hold on, I didn't put it in the computer correctly, apparently. So let me fix that. Good thing the extract computer has the undo button. That's the only thing. All right, now we're tied. So Snyder. That error puts Boggs at second base. I had to type it in the computer a little bit awkwardly because if I use the single plus error command, it will not give Boggs the RBI. So I had to give him a single with Burke's scoring, and then in a separate entry do a one base error on Snyder with the runner still at second base. So just the way I had to do that. So anyway, or with the runner, actually I didn't do it right. The runner should have moved to second base. I didn't put Boggs to second base on that error play. So let me do that real quick. A little funky to have to do it that way. Now it's there, and Boggs is at second base. Okay, now we're straight. Jim Rice up to the plate, I should say, with Boggs at second. Only one out, so it's not a clutch situation yet. 3-2. That's a Lomax plus injury. Wow. Jim Rice just lined it right to Jacoby for out number 2. Jacoby will throw it over to second base for Franco to double up Boggs off second. The old Lomax comes into play. So it's going to go 5 and then 5-4 for the double play. And now we're going to check Rice and see if he's injured. If he's injured, he'll have to leave the game. The injuries are only for this game only. So 1-4, he stays in the game. He does not. So Jim Rice will leave, and they will go to Mike Greenwell, I think. Or actually, they're going to go to Dave Henderson. He's right-handed. They want to keep a right-hander in there against Carlton. So Dave Henderson will take over in left field for the injured Jim Rice. So Henderson will be in left field in the 4th inning, taking over for Rice. So let's make that substitution on the computer. Dave Henderson. So Rice will be back in the next game. It's just a one-game injury only because I do as-play lineups, so we don't want to, take that away. But that is the end of the inning. The run does score to tie the game at 3. So after 3 complete, we're tied at 3, and we're on pace to have a 9-9 game, which definitely doesn't surprise anybody. Hello, Colin. Good to see you. Top of the 4th we go. We have a World Series trivia question at the top of the 5th, so be ready for that. No emojis this time, just World Series trivia. Here's Mel Hall against Leicester, 5-9, and that's a 5-9's over here. Ground ball to first, so we got a break there. That'll be easily handled by Buckner, one away. Didn't go through his legs this time. Here's Jacoby. 2-6 for Jacoby. That's a solid single for Brooke Jacoby. That'll bring up Dave Clark, who homered his first time up off of Fenway Park. Found the Fenway Park to his liking. 4-5, and this time it's a ground ball first base B, so Buckner will throw it to short at second base, where Owen gets the force on Jacoby, but the return throw is not in time. Fielder's choice, 3-6 if you're scoring at home, and goodness knows you should be. So there's 2 down for Corey Snyder. Corey Snyder walked his first time up. Leicester holding his own. 5-9. As soon as I say that, it's a single to center field. Clark, let's see. He wasn't being held, makes him a 15. 2 outs makes him a 17. Burks is a 0. 1-17, they're going to send him to third base. 1-17, he's safe. And he's in there. But Snyder, since he runs less than 13, I will not give him the extra base. So he holds. So it's kind of a no-risk play there to throw through. But it's runners on the corners with 2 outs and Rick Dempsey the batter. Dempsey hit into a double play first time up. Clutch situation for Dempsey, and in the clutch he is neutral. 6-11, that's a strikeout for John Leister, his first strikeout of the game. There's a dot there, but we haven't reached the 5th inning yet, so he's still good to go. And Leister, what a time for his first strikeout of the game. He gets that and keeps the score at 3-3 as we head to the bottom of the 4th. And it's time for more coffee before it gets cool. I can already tell I'm going to need a 7th inning stretch break to heat it. All right, bottom of the 4th. Still tied at 3. Don Baylor stepping to the plate. Why do I have Evans up there? Something didn't go right on the computer. I can see that now. Did I not do the double play correctly? Let me check my thing here and make sure what I've got going on the play-by-play. I may have entered something wrong on the play-by-play, which wouldn't surprise me. Let's see. Wow, I hit the wrong button. Oh, it gave the 1 base error when Rice was at bat and put Baylor up there. So let me go fix this real quick, folks. It won't take but a couple minutes, or not even a minute. I'm just going to keep doing undo until I get to where I need to be, which is back at the at-bat by Jim Rice. But I do want to have this thing accurate. But thank goodness for the undo button. If the Strat computer did not have the undo button, I would be toast right now. I'd have to start all over and just score the game after I play it, which I don't like doing because it's like I'm playing the game twice, and I want to play it once and be done with it. All right. Let's get this back to where I need it to be. Okay. Get back to Rice. All right, there we go. Now we're back to Rice. Okay. Now I need to put in that 1 base error and make sure. I think what happened is when I did the 1 base error, I moved Boggs to second base and accidentally left it where the batter went to first base when he should have stayed there at the plate. So I think that's where I screwed that up. But so let's do stay here. You go to second. All right, and then the Lomax. Okay, now that's up to date. And then we put in left field. We put in Dave Henderson. I apologize for this. I'm trying to go as quickly as I can. Dave Henderson in place of Rice. And then we go to the top of the 4th for Cleveland. Mel Hall grounds to Buckner at first. Jacoby singles. We get a fielder's choice, 3-6. And then we get a single for Snyder. And then we get the strikeout of Dempsey. And we're back in place. Okay. So everything's back the way it should be. And we got it back to Don Baylor at the plate, as he should be. Baylor grounded to short his first time up. Let's see here, 6-5, and that's going to be trouble. That's a 2-20 for a double, but the double dies a 1 for a triple. Did Baylor had no triples? So I'm going to do what the computer does, and that is I'm not going to allow the triple because I just don't think Baylor would get himself a triple here. So we're going to knock this down to a double. That's what the computer does, and that's what I'm going to do. When a guy had no triples in real life, I'm not going to let him have a triple here off the pitcher card. So it will be reduced to a long double. Just to try to keep things straight. We don't want guys getting 5 triples in the season when he had none during the regular season. All right, here's Dewey Evans. He's still at, whoops, wrong die there. He's still at second base with nobody else. That's still a pretty good deal. Carlton to Evans, 2-4. That's a fly ball to center, and that's 1 away. 1 down, and that's going to send up Buckner. Lefty on lefty matchup. 2-7, and that's a pop up to first base. How about that? It's going to pop it right up there to Joe Carter for out number 2. Now it's a clutch situation for Rich Gedman. Gedman flew to center his first time up, but it is a clutch situation against Carlton. In the clutch, Gedman, he only faced left-handers 23% of the time, so he has no clutch rating against lefties. Actually, doesn't have any against righties either. I guess he didn't have enough at bats to be rated for clutch. 4 and 8 is a fly to right field, and that's going to end the inning. So it didn't matter if I did a double or triple. He wouldn't have scored either way. He might have scored here, but he doesn't run well, so I doubt he would have scored anyway. But I just don't like giving guys triples if they never had any in real world. So try to be realistic. All right, so at the end of 4, how about that? We got a 0-0 inning from these two pitchers. That was amazing. All right, we go to the top of the 5th, and Kathy has a World Series trivia question for us. So get your thinking caps to the World Series trivia. All right, let's see what the trivia question is. Who pitched the first complete extra inning 7th game shutout in a World Series? I think that was John Smoltz in 1991, but I could be wrong. Somebody may have done it before him. The one I remember was John Smoltz, but I'm sure somebody did it. Actually, no, he lost that game. It wouldn't be a complete game. My bad. I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. I'm thinking of not John Smoltz. I'm thinking of Jack Morris, his opposition. That's who I was thinking of, because he went 10 innings and pitched a shutout, if I remember correctly. So I'm thinking it was Jack Morris. But it could have happened back in the 60s or something, for all I know. So we'll see what the official answer is. My guess was 1991 Jack Morris, but we shall see. As Leicester gets ready to pitch the 5th inning, this will be his fatigue inning. So we'll keep an eye on that. He's actually survived so far and made it through 4 innings with the score tied at 3. All right, Jack. Yeah, I kind of stumbled there, Kathy, and had the wrong team there. I was thinking John Smoltz for whatever reason, but he was the opponent in that game. Jack, I would have thought somebody would have done that back in the 60s or something, but I guess they never did. Great question. Jack Morris of the Twins. Recent Hall of Fame addition. I think he got in a couple of years ago, very recently, anyway. All right, top of the 5th, and again, anytime we have a dot here now, Leicester, if he gives up 3 hits or combination of hits and runs or walks a total of 3, he'll be susceptible to fatigue. So here's Butler, 6'2", and that's a fly ball left field X. So the new left fielder is Dave Henderson. He came in for Rice, and that's actually going to be a good improvement for Boston because Rice was a 4.E7. Henderson is a 2.E16. Now, the E rate is high, but the range is much, much better. So he's a 2.E16. 2-19, he'll get to that, but an E16 is a little bit iffy there. E16 and an 8 for a left fielder. E16, there is no 8. It's a 4, 6, 12, 13, and 17, but no 8. So Dave Henderson makes the catch, and they keep Brett Butler off the base pass, which for Boston is very important. He's the catalyst for that team. You want to keep him off the base pass if you are Boston. All right, here is Julio Franco. 4-8 for Franco against a righty. It's a single to center field. Or actually, it says single. It doesn't say where it went, but in my mind's eye, I imagine it to center field. So Franco is going to try to get the lead. Needs a 2 through 5. Does not get it. So I'll bring up Pat Tabler. Leicester has induced 2 double plays in 4 innings. Can he do it again? 2-8. No, he can't. That's a single to left. That's going to put runners at first and second. With only 1 out, but he gets a break because Joe Carter's coming up. And Joe Carter has been the rally killer of the Cleveland Ball Club in this 87 season. And particularly this game, he do a double play and grounded out with a runner in scoring position as well. That's a 5-11. It's ground ball first base X. We're looking at Carter. I'm sorry, we're looking at Buckner. 4E13, so he might get it by Buckner here. 4-11, I think Buckner will get to it, but the best he's going to probably do is take it to the bag himself kind of thing. Let's see, 4-11 is a G3. It's the best he could do. That's a 10, and Buckner's an E13. There's no 10 there. There's 11, but no 10. So it's going to be a ground out where the only play Buckner's going to have is to go to the bag himself. So the runners will move up to second and third. But now there's 2 away. So it ended up being nothing more than a glorified sacrifice is the way it turned out. So it's going to be up to Mel Hall. He's up in a clutch situation. See what Mel Hall did in the clutch. Mel Hall is actually rated completely neutral in the clutch, so he has no clutch rating. 2 outs, runners in second and third, and a 3-3 tie. 4-3, and that's a fly ball right field X. So we're looking at Evans. It's a 1, so you know he's going to get to it. He's an E2. The only way he makes an error on an E2 as a right fielder, the only error chances are 3, 16, and 18. If he can avoid those 3 numbers, he makes the play. And he does. So Dwight Evans makes the catch. And how about that? Leister actually keeps some endurance. He may actually go 6 innings. Amazing. He might actually get a quality start. Who'd have thunk that? All right. Bottom of the 5th, and it's going to be Spike Owen, the batter. Spike Owen, his first time up, flew to center field. 5-9, switch hitter batting right-handed. 5-9, it's a fly ball to center. And they've kept Brett Butler busy out there. That's Butler's 5th putout already. Here's Ellis Burks. Top of the order, Burks. 2 for 2, single and double, and 2 runs scored. You can't ask for much more than that than a leadoff hitter than what he's done. 111, that's ground ball to shortstop, and that's 2 away. So the pitching is doing much better than I thought it was going to do. I thought we'd be about 8-7 by now, but it's just 3-3. That's why you roll the games, folks. You never know. I mean, coming into this looked like a nightmare, but let the dice decide. Don't be premature. That was floating dice, so we'll re-roll that. 5-5, that's a ground ball to second. There's a dot there, but Carlton hasn't given up anything. This is his fatigue inning, but he hasn't given up anything, so he's going to keep full endurance into the 6th. And how about that? We're going to the 6th. Score tied at 3. We actually have a reasonable ball game going on between these 2 pitchers. So Leister back out, playing with house money, you could say now, because they no way in the world they expect him to be around the 6th inning. There's no way. But he is. All right, here's Jacoby. 4-10, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. That's going to be Owen. He's a 3E17. He's got to have his defense come through for him. 3-18, he'll get to that. E17 and a 14 for Owen. He said, oh, there's a 15, a 16, and 17, but no 14. So Owen makes the play. And that's something else Leister needs is good defense behind him. He can't afford to give up extra outs. He's just not that kind of pitcher. So that'll bring up Dave Clark, who tagged him for a 2-run homer his first time up. That's a 3-6, and that's a strikeout. That's the 2nd strikeout for Leister. And how about this? He may keep endurance into the 7th. I mean, good grief. Who would have figured that? Here's Snyder. 4-5. That's a walk. That's another knock against him. That's his 2nd walk. So he's got 2 walks and 2 strikeouts this game. 2 walks and 2 strikeouts. Snyder, no threat to run. Here's Rick Dempsey, catcher. He has had a bad game. He's hit into a double play, and he struck out. 6-9. However, that's a ballpark blast. It's 1-10, but that's a 15. He had weak power anyway. He would have just got a single. But instead, he flies to left, and that's going to do it for the Cleveland Indians. Leister now goes 6 innings. Gives up just the 3 runs. That is a technical quality start. How about that? Technically a quality start. And I don't think anybody, well, at least I didn't think that was going to happen with John Leister. But like I said, that's why you roll the dice. You never know that the dice can be funny. Dice can be funny. All right, here's Wade Boggs. Hello, Grapes. Good to see you. Wade Boggs is got a double here. I can't even tell what I did there. Oh, he reached on a single and a 1-base error, so he's 2 for 2. 1B didn't turn out too good there, did it? All right, that's a 6-9 lefty-lefty. That's going to be a walk. And I think that's the first walk issued by Carlton, and it is his first walk of the game. Boggs is on, and here comes Dave Henderson, his first at bat since coming in for the injured Jim Rice. On the replay, Henderson's hitting 229, 7 homers, 21 driven in. In the real season, he hit 234, so he's kind of right on line there. 2-7, and that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Carlton. One away for Don Baylor, the designated hitter. He doubled in his previous at bat. 1 for 2. 1-5, and that's a pop up to short. Corey Snyder is there, 2 down. So both these pitchers have a good chance of getting through 6 innings with quality starts, and I would have never thought that, especially the way the game started. Looks like it's going to be one of those games, but that's why you roll the dice. Can't take anything for granted. That's a 5-9, and that's going to be a fly to center, and that's going to do it. Ends the inning. So 6 innings are in the books, and we're tied at 3 apiece. There was a rather obscure, I'm not sure if I would call it an obscure movie or not, but there was a movie that had the famous line on it, not to take things for granted. I believe it was a Jim Henson movie, if I'm not mistaken, called Labyrinth, with David Bowie as this mystical person or whatever. But there was a theme in there about not taking things for granted. And I guess that's what we're doing here, not taking things for granted. All right, here's Brett Butler, top of the order here against Leicester. Now, the Boston bullpen is working just in case Leicester starts to crumble a little bit. We have left-hander Tom Bolton, not to be confused with Michael Bolton, but Tom Bolton is in the bullpen. 4-5 for Butler. It's a ground ball to first, so Buckner's got it, and they keep Butler off the bases again. That's the key to shutting down the Cleveland offense, or at least part of it is keeping Butler off the bases. All right, here's Franco. 2-7, and that's a ground ball to short. Spike Owen is there, 2 down. We will cap Leicester at 7 innings because I never like to go more than 2 past whatever the endurance rating is, just to keep it realistic. But if they can get 7 innings out of John Leicester with only 3 runs and a tie score, I think Boston will be elated. Here's Tabler. It's a 1-4, and that's a ballpark single check, and that's a 1-15, and that is a 15. Can't blame Leicester on that one. That was a Fenway base hit all the way. So a 2-out single, and that brings up you-know-who, Joe Carter, Mr. Struggler. So Leicester has to feel pretty confident. That's a 1, though. It's a wild pitch rating's a 7. He does not commit the wild pitch. Dempsey will block it. Here's the pitch to Carter. 6-2. It's a fly ball left field X. We're looking at Mel Hall, 3-4. I'm sorry, not Mel Hall. We're looking at Dave Henderson. What am I talking about? Looking at Dave Henderson. He's a 2 with an E16. 2E16. 2 and a 17, he'll get to it. E16 and a 7 might get away with that. E16 and a 7. And he does. There's an error there for 6, but not for 7. So how about that, folks? John Leicester. Give it up for John Leicester. He goes 7 innings in his debut. 7 innings for John Leicester. And we'll get the totals on his debut game from the Strat computer, get all his final numbers. He gave up 2 runs in the first, but only 1 run since. So Leicester's going to go 7 innings. He does scatter 10 hits, but only 3 runs, so he kept them off from scoring. Some double plays certainly helped. He had a couple double plays that helped the cause. So he leaves with a chance to still win it if Boston can get the run in the bottom of the 7th. If not, then we are looking at no decision for him. Tom Bolton will be coming on to pitch the top of the 8th for Boston. Carlton, he's still got some endurance left, but this will be his final inning as well. He'll be facing Buckner, Gedman, and Owen unless they decide to pinch hit. But it is a 7th inning stretch, so I need to heat my coffee big time. And so what I like to do to kill two birds with one stone, as the saying goes, is use the seventh inning stretch, take me out to the ball game as fodder while I go downstairs and microwave my coffee for 30 seconds and keep it from being dead air. So it's kind of two purposes there, I guess. So seventh inning stretch time here at Fenway, and surprisingly, we're tied at 3-3. And I'm going to stretch and go downstairs and heat my coffee. You all are welcome to stretch as well to take me out to the ball game. All right, that was a nice stretch break. I kind of needed that, whether I was getting coffee or not. I think it's probably good to stretch and not get stiff. So we head to the bottom of the seventh. Coffee is now warm and refreshed. So tonight we will be back with the Demolition League. We will have Toronto and Kansas City. Of course, Toronto just made it to the World Series. They'll be facing the Dodgers starting Friday night. But this is the Toronto team that finished in the last place in 2024. I at least learned one pronunciation. I had been mispronouncing this guy's name wrong, Addison. I've been calling him Addison Barger. It's actually, the G is actually soft. It's Addison Barger is how the announcers gave his name. So his name is Barger. That is his name, Barger. So, and speaking of the World Series, I will be playing that on Saturday at noon in History Maker Baseball. It'll be game one of the World Series. I'm going to take whatever the real lineups were in the Friday night game, and play it the next morning or next afternoon, however you want to look at it. And we're going to see, by using as-played lineups, and I'm going to try to follow the bullpen usage as much as possible as well. So we'll see how accurate History Maker Baseball turns out to be. These are on cards that I created using their card creation formula. So it's going to be the Dodgers and the Blue Jays Saturday at noon on History Maker Baseball, game one. And I'm just going to take the box score and the rosters from the World Series game one and play it out. See what happens. All right, bottom of the seventh, Bill Buckyblin's got their bullpen working. And this guy, I hadn't been using this guy much at all lately because I thought he was going to start, but I just looked up and see he's not going to start for a while. So Rich Yett is in the bullpen for Cleveland, and he's got a good long relief rating. So Rich Yett is in the Cleveland bullpen in back of Carlton. Right now, Carlton facing Buckner. 1-6 for Buckner, and he's going to get a single to left field. So Billy Buck, leadoff single. And that'll send up Rich Gedman. Of course, Buckner, no threat to running. Gedman's a terrible bunter, so he's not going to bunt. 6-7, doesn't need to bunt. That's a single to center field. That's going to put runners at first and second. And actually, we're going to get a pinch runner for Buckner because he is the go-ahead run. So Red Sox will go to their bench. And they will bring in to run. Boy, they don't have a lot of speed anywhere. I almost wonder if it's even worthwhile. Buckner runs in an 8. The fastest guy off the bench is a 12. Boy. You know what? I'm going to leave Buckner where he is. First things first, Spike Owen is going to bunt. So we're in an optimal bunt situation. First and second, you want to get the go-ahead runs in scoring position. There's nobody out, and you got an A bunter at the plate. Cleveland's thinking along the same lines. I'm not even going to roll the D6 to see if the infield corners are in or not, because we know they're going to be in, because this isn't just a, I won't say a no-brain bunt, a sack situation, but it's close to it. So Spike Owen will bunt. So since he's bunting, we're going to leave Carlton in the game. There is nothing on the havoc. Let's see who fields it. It's going to go be bunted at the, or right in front of the plate, so Rick Dempsey's going to have the play on it. He's a B bunter, so basically a 1 to 9, he's in good shape. That's a 6. That's defense. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Buckner only runs at an 8, so there's a chance that Dempsey can throw Buckner out at third base by looking at defense. So let's look at the defense. And again, on this sacrifice chart, compute the lead runner safe range as running speed -4 plus the rating of the defender. So -8 minus 4 is a 4, plus the 3 from Dempsey is a 7. So 1 to 7, Buckner makes it, but an 8 to 20, they can throw him out at third base. And to me, that's worth the gamble to try for the lead dog. So if you get an 8 through 20, and they will get Buckner at third base. And they do. So he is out of there. It's going to go as a fielder's choice bunt. So I put FCB on the score sheet for a fielder's choice bunt. Buckner is going to be out 2 to 5. And with that 15 there, even a pinch runner would have been out. So it wouldn't have mattered if I had a pinch runner in there, because they had no fast guys. 12 was the fastest they had. You still would have been looking at an 11 for safe range, and that 15 would have got him anyway. So really no chance there at all in that situation. Just a bad roll is what it turned out to be. But 2 to 5. So now that brings up Ellis Burks, and that's going to be it for Steve Carlton. They will cap Steve Carlton right there. He's going to go 6 1/3 innings is Steve Carlton. We'll get the rest later because he is responsible for the guys on first and second base. But we will have Rich Yett. And on the replay, he was 3-9 with a 5.25 ERA. Sometimes starter, sometimes reliever. He's got a 5 fatigue for starting, 3 fatigue for relieving. So Rich Yett, he hasn't pitched in a while. He's well rested, that's for sure. And he will be in the game. Rich Yett. Holbrain's a -4, so that makes him a -3. Not that that's going to matter in this game, I don't think. So we'll go to the bullpen and bring in Rich Yett for the Tribe. Rich Yett. And on the replay for Yett, he is 0-1 with a save and a 3.79 ERA, 33 innings pitched, 26 hits, 21 walks, 18 strikeouts. Ellis Burks is your batter with 1 out. Infield looking for that double play to get out of the inning. 5-5, and that's a strikeout for Rich Yett. That's a huge strikeout to get. That's out number 2, and the runners stay put. Now it's up to Marty Barrett. You don't want to lose Barrett because you got Boggs on deck, and you don't want to face Boggs. Runners on base. So big out to get here is Marty Barrett. 1-3, and that's a line out to second base. Franco snags it, and that's going to do it. Cleveland gets out of it, and Carlton and Leicester both will come away with no decisions now. They both pitched well, but they both come away with no decision. As Marty Barrett lines it to second to end the inning. We go to the top of the 8th. Score still tied at 3, and we'll get the final numbers on Carlton now that the inning is over. Carlton's going to go 6 1/3, give up 8 hits and 3 runs, all earned. 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. So one thing both pitchers did well was not walk guys. Only 3 combined walks between the two. So despite giving up 18 hits, the fact that they didn't combine that with walks was huge. And now coming in for the Red Sox is Tom Bolton. He was 1-0 with a 4.38 ERA in real world. He is a -1 on the hold, -2 total. And he'll be facing Hall, who only faced lefties 7% of the time. So this could be the Cleveland maybe going to the bench here. Very possible for Carmen Castillo. But first things first, we bring in Bolton from the Red Sox bullpen and get his numbers on the replay. Bolton is 0-0 with no saves, a 4.38 earn. How about that? He has a 4.38 earned run average in the replay, and he's got a 4.38 earned run average in the real world season. So he's right on track, obviously. 12 innings pitched, 14 hits, 7 walks, and 11 strikeouts. But Cleveland will make the move to the bullpen. They may have to do some shuffling here. Mel Hall will leave, and Carmen Castillo will pick up a bat and hit for Mel Hall. Carmen Castillo will stay in the game to play right field, and that means we'll see Dave Clark's only played for right field also. So we got to look at this. They don't have anybody rated for left field, I don't think, unless they want to move Snyder. They could always move Snyder, I guess, or they can move Frobel there. They got Frobel that can play left field. So Carmen Castillo is going to pinch hit, but Frobel will take over in left field because Castillo's not a very good fielder anyway. So we got Castillo pinch hitting in the top of the 8th. But then you're going to have Frobel taking over in left field in the 8th inning. So that's what we've got. So Bolton will be facing Carmen Castillo. On the real season, Castillo hit .250 in 220 at-bats with 11 home runs. He did have 56% of his at-bats against left-handed pitching. So they did like to use him against lefties, and that's what we're going to do here. So Bolton will be facing Castillo. And on the replay, Castillo in 48 at-bats is hitting .250, just like he did in real world. 2 homers, 6 driven in. So Bolton facing Castillo. Top of the 8th, 6-8 for Bolton. I think I'm losing some peripheries here, so I'll bring this over. 6-8 to strikeout. So Bolton strikes out the pinch hitter Castillo. Would have struck out the lefty as well, no matter who he faced. 6-8 was a strikeout regardless. So Castillo fails in the pinch. And we move on to Brooke Jacoby. That's a 2-2 for Jacoby against the lefty. That's a fly to center field, handled by Ellis Burks, 2 down. And that'll bring up Dave Clark. He only had 7% of his at-bats against lefties, so he didn't do very well. Boy, if you want to pinch hit for him, but there's 2 outs and the base is empty, so I think they're going to stick with Clark. He's got to get into bat against the left-hander at some point. So here we go. He's going to get his at bat right here, 2-6, and he strikes out. So that's going to end the inning. So Bolton comes in and takes care of business in the 8th inning, striking out 2 of the 3 he faces. And now going into left field will be Doug Frobel for the Cleveland Indians. He will be your left fielder. On the bench now for Cleveland, the bench players remaining, they have backup catcher Chris Bando, second baseman Tony Bernazard, and DH Andre Thornton. Those are the guys left in the bullpen. Or, sorry, on the bench, rather. So, top of the 8th we go. Rich Yett back out. He'll be facing Boggs, Henderson, and Baylor. To start the bottom of the 8th of a 3-3 tie, which I had no idea would be a 3-3 tie right now. That just is baffling almost. Okay. Boggs. 5-6, and that's a strikeout for Yett. A strikeout of Boggs. That's one of the disadvantages, I think, of the 50-50 result is Wade Boggs just struck out again. He only struck out 48 times real world in 551 at-bats. But in at-bat 181, he just registered his 21st strikeout. So he's almost halfway there. That's the one thing, is that there's no fail-safe for somebody who doesn't strike out much. I mean, I guess I could homebrew it and roll the D20 and say if it's 1 to whatever he flies out or something. I don't know, but I don't want to go in the weeds that far. So we'll just live with it. Boggs strikes out. Here's Henderson. 310 against the right-hander. And a 310 against the right-hander is a base on balls for Henderson. So he will hit a one-out, or not hit, but he will reach on a one-out walk by Rich Yet. Henderson is in no threat to run whatsoever, so he will not be held. And here's Don Baylor, designated hitter for the Red Sox against Rich Yet. 6-3 on Yet is a strikeout again. Another strikeout for Yet. That is his third strikeout in less than, inning and a third. Three of his 4 outs have been strikeouts. Did not know he was a strikeout pitcher, but he's got the strikeout pitch going now. And here's Dewey Evans, right fielder. We get a 1-4 for Evans, and that's a fly to center. Boy, 1-5. He just missed the home run there, 1-5. 1-4 is a fly to center. And that's going to do it. Who'd have thunk this? We are at the 9th inning, and we're tied at 3. It was 3-2 after 2 innings of play. We've only had 1 run scored since then in the last 6 innings. That's why you can never tell about these things. You never know how they're going to go. So we go to the top of the 9th. Bolton will be facing Snyder, Dempsey, and Butler for the Tribe. 3-3, top of the 9th. 6-10 for Bolton against the right-hander is a fly ball center field X. We're looking at Burks. 2-5. Should make this play. 2-7. Even the double die won't hurt that. 2-7 should be no problem. It is not a problem. However, E5, and that is a 17. E5, and there's a 17 right there. So that it wasn't the double die that did him in. It was a 3D6s. The 17 gives him a 2-base error on Ellis Burks. Wow, a 2-base error on usually reliable Ellis Burks to start the top of the 9th. And that'll bring up Rick Dempsey. Don't know if they want to pinch hit for Dempsey. They could. They don't have much on the only one they have on the bench. Well, they got Bernazard they could bring in, I guess. But first base is open. They can always walk him too. Boy. Could bring in Bando, I guess. I think if you bring in a better right-handed hitter, Boston might bring in a right-handed pitcher. So we're gonna let Dempsey hit. It's one of the things when you manage against yourself, you're kind of thinking, got to think both ways and think exactly through the thought processes of what both managers would be thinking about. That's a 4-11, and it's going to be a fly ball left field X. We're looking at Henderson. He's a 2E16. 2-4. That could be trouble. 2-4. No, it's an F1, but that means the runner's going to automatically get third base because on the F1, all runners move up. But that's a 3. Boy, the D6s can be really cruel sometimes. E16, but there's no 3. There's a 4, 6, 12, 13, and 17. So Henderson is such a bad fielder that the 3 doesn't even show up. It shows up all over the place everywhere else. But he gets a break there. But it is an F1, which means even though it's to left field at Fenway Park, which is not very deep, Snyder is able to tag up on the play. So it acted like a sacrifice, even though it's not officially a sacrifice. And what that's going to do is force the infield to come in now. Bolton facing Brett Butler. Butler is an A bunter. If I had guts, I'd do a suicide squeeze, but I've never done one in Super Advanced, so I don't think I've ever done one, period. So I'm not even sure how to do a suicide. It's got a chart for it. Let's see here. Just out of curiosity, not that I'm going to do it, but let's look at it and see what it says in the rules here. It says squeeze chart. Manager should call suicide or safety. With the infield corners in, refer to the next letter on the chart. B becomes a C. Roll all 3 days. Single determines The single die determines the fielder. That's what we do in the regular bunts. The other two die refer to the chart. To this chart, the fielder determined by the single die roll is used for reading of defense. Okay, so he's an A bunter, becomes a B bunter, but we're looking at the squeeze play, and there's speed, there's bad, and there's bad, and there's bad, and there's double play, and there's 1 and 2. Boy, you're just, I don't know. I just don't think we're going to do that. I think Butler's a good hitter. Butler's a 295 hitter for a reason, so we're going to have Butler swing away. Boston will play the infield in, but the temptation was there to try it, but I'm not going to do it. I'm chickening out. So with 1 out, here is Butler. You know what? Hell with it. We're going to try it. No pain, no gain. We're going to try it. We're going to try the suicide squeeze. It's going to be a full suicide squeeze. We're not messing around with any safety crap. This is suicide squeeze time. And it's a B bunter. We're going to roll the white die. White die says a 2. 2 says it's going to the pitcher. So it's going to be bunted right back to Bolton. The question is, can Snyder cross the plate before Bolton throws him out? And we're looking in this B category to see what happens. Roll a 7. 7 is bad. Okay, well, we hit a bad suicide squeeze bunt. What can I tell you? Let's look and see what bad says. Maybe it's not as bad as we thought. I don't know. Bad. See description on sacrifice bunt chart. Okay, bad. Batter lays down a bad bunt. Lead runner is thrown out by the fielder. Okay, so we tried it and it didn't work. But you can't, now you can say you've seen me try a suicide squeeze. Okay, so it's going to be a fielder's choice bunt again. Snyder is out at the plate 1 to 2. Butler could still try to steal second base and get in scoring position. So maybe it wasn't a total loss after all. We shall see. So we're going to have Snyder out 1 to 2. With Butler at first base, 2 outs. And now he's going to try to steal. Now Bolton is a -2 hold. So that would be a 1 to 11 if he gets the jump, but they still got to try to get him in scoring position. So it's a 1 to an 11 if he gets the jump. 5, he gets the jump. So it's going to be a 1 to 11. 15 being held as a 13, -2 is an 11. 1 to 11, he steals it. And he gets caught stealing. Boy, just butchered that inning, didn't I? Sorry, Cleveland fans. But trying to be aggressive and unpredictable, but it just didn't work, unfortunately. So we go to the bottom of the 9th, and that leadoff 2-base error on Burks did not come back to bite him. So Rich Yett is coming back out to pitch the bottom of the 9th. And, well, thank you, Tim. At least that gives me some verification that I wasn't being haphazardly stupid. But, you know, it was worth a gamble. I'd never tried a suicide squeeze before, so this is my first attempt. And just got a bad roll. What can I say? We hit the 7. If we had, you know, on the suicide squeeze chart, if you hit the 6, I mean, we missed it by 1. If you look at the suicide squeeze chart under B, 7 was bad, but if we hit 8, it's a good sacrifice. So, you know, what are you going to do? You got to try something, as they say. All right, so Bill Buckner will lead things off, followed by Gedman and Owen. Billy Buck against Rich Yett. 3-11 for Buckner. It's a ballpark single, and, of course, that's going to be a base hit. And now I'm thinking they got to run for Buckner. Now you got to have a pinch runner for Buckner. So they'll bring in Ed Romero to pinch run for Buckner. At least he does run it as a 12, so he can. He's not going to worry about trying to steal or anything like that, but at least he, on a base hit, he can score a little bit more. And he is rated for first base, so if he goes extra innings, he would play first base. But Ed Romero is your new runner, so let's put that on the computer. Buckner will single. And Ed Romero is going to be your pinch runner for Boston. Cleveland bullpen is active as well. So let's bring in Romero. There you are. So that leaves on their bench Greenwell, Glenn Hoffman, and the backup catcher Mark Sullivan on their bench. Going to the Cleveland bullpen, you do have Ed Vandenberg, a lefty, loosening in the pen. But if you bring him in to face Gedman, Boston will counter by bringing in a right-handed hitter, I'm sure. So how do you want to play that? Yet is pitched pretty well, so they're going to stick with Yet. But Vandenberg is, as they say, he is lurking in the bullpen at Vandenberg, left-hander. But right now, with Romero at second base, Rich Gedman is your batter. Unless they want to bring in somebody that can bunt. Let's see if they have anybody left that can bunt on the bench. Greenwell's a D bunter. Hoffman is an A bunter. So is the catcher Sullivan. So they're going to bring in Mark Sullivan to pinch hit for Gedman. And his sole purpose is to bunt because he's an A bunter. He's actually a better defensive catcher too. So we're going to have all kinds of things. So you can have a DH game and still manage. It's not totally automatic. So he will pinch hit in the 9th and catch in the 10th if it gets to that. But he is an A bunter. If you look at he's an A bunter. The corners are going to come in because they know what's happening. Everybody in the stadium knows what's happening. It's just a matter of can they get successful on the sacrifice bunt. So we bring in Sullivan on the computer to do what he is called to do, which is to bunt. And that will leave Greenwell and Hoffman as the only bench players remaining. Shortstop infielder Glenn Hoffman and outfielder Mike Greenwell. So Sullivan is on. He's up to bunt. Havoc roll, nothing happening. Corners are obviously in. It's a 5, so we're going to our standard sacrifice bunt chart. And a 5 says the first baseman, Joe Carter, is going to field it. And we're in this B category. That's an 8. That's a good sacrifice. So good sacrifice by Sullivan, as Joe Carter will just tag him coming up the line. But that puts the pinch runner Romero, the winning run, in scoring position with 1 out. So the good sacrifice is made. 3 unassisted. And now that brings up Spike Owen. Do they pinch hit for Owen is the question. You do have Mike Greenwell sitting on the bench, a good pinch hitter at 328. But first base is open. If you pinch hit, you walk him. So you just burn your other pinch hitter. So I think they're going to stick with Hoffman here. I think they're going to have to. All right, so switch hitter Spike Owen steps to the plate, and they will not bring in Greenwell. Not holding a run on second because he doesn't run all that well. He only runs as a 12. Yet to Owen. 6-3, switch hitter batting left. That's a fly ball, right field X. We're looking at the right fielder, Dave Clark. He's a 3E10. 3E10. That's a 12. He'll get to that. 3 and a 10 is an F2, so runner cannot advance. Or he might have it. I'm sorry, he could have it advanced to third, possibly. That's a 7, and he is an E10. There is no 7. But it is an F2. So it says runner on second may tag up and try for third. So safe chance is the speed minus the outfielder's arm. So Clark's arm is a 0. The speed of Romero is only a 12. You could try to tag him up to get to third, but if he's thrown out, that ends the inning. So I don't think you want to take that chance. You want to let Ellis Burks have a chance at it. So the fly ball, but not quite deep enough to move the runner to third. He's already in scoring position at second, so you might as well just live with that, I guess. So now first base is open. If you want to walk Ellis Burks and pitch to Barrett, you can do so. Burks, a 272 hitter. Barrett, a 293 hitter. So I think they're going to go ahead and pitch to Burks. Straight up. He is 2 for 4, but I think Yet wants to go after Burks here. Clutch situation, as they say. In the clutch, Burks will lose hits on 1-9 and 1-10 and on 3-8. So yet another reason why you don't walk Burks. So Yet to Burks. 4-6 for Yet, and that's a 1-6 single, 7-20 lines to short, and we got extra innings here at Fenway, tied at 3. Rich Yet survives, keeps his team in the game, and we're going to extra innings, and now we got to make a bunch of defensive changes for Boston because they did some stuff there. So we're going to have Romero take over at first base, and he will bat in the slot formerly held by Buckner. We're going to have Sullivan catch, and he's hitting in the 8th position formerly held by Rich Gedman. And now you've got Franco, Tabler, and Carter, a bunch of right-handers, so that's going to be it for Tom Bolton. Bolton's going to go 2 innings, and he's going to give up no hits. He did strike out 2. No hits, no runs. But Boston will go to their bullpen for a right-hander, and it will be Calvin Schiraldi. There's no save situation to worry about anymore when you're in extra innings as the visiting team, as the home team. You can't get saves anymore, so they're going to bring in the best they have, Calvin Schiraldi, and he is rested. So they will bring in Calvin Schiraldi. Will the Red Sox? And Schiraldi in the real world season was 8-5 with a 4.41 ERA and 6 saves. In the replay, he's 2-2 with 3 saves and a 5.68 earned run average. He has pitched 19 innings, 27 hits, 5 walks, 26 strikeouts. And since we're in extra innings, I want to move the cards over here so they don't go off the screen. So we're going to have Julio Franco lead things off here against Schiraldi. Now, Schiraldi is a +4 hold, so that could be impactful. The catcher, new catcher, Mark Sullivan's a 0 arm, so that's a +4 for Schiraldi. But he will be facing Julio Franco to lead it off, followed by Pat Tabler and Joe Carter. Top of the 10th, we go 3-3. Who would have thunk it would be 3-3 when it was 3-2 after 2 innings? But the pitching has taken over, for lack of a better word. Here is Franco. Franco is 2 for 4, a couple of singles. Schiraldi to Franco, 311, and that is a ballpark single check, and you know it's got base hit written all over it with the 15 there. So Franco, leadoff single, and that +4 looks awful tempting to get a steal. Franco 2 through 5 gets him the jump. Doesn't get the jump, but he still might try it with the secondary lead. Let's see, 13 -4 for me is a 9, but the +4 there brings it back to a 13. Ooh, it's a 65% chance. They're going to send Franco on a 65% chance. They need to get a runner in scoring position. So 1-13, he'll make it. And he's in there. It's a possible throwing error on Sullivan as they catch Boston off guard. Sullivan about ready to chuck it into center field. Sullivan's T rating, if you look at his card, his T rating is a 4, 1-4 for a T rating for Sullivan. So I'm going to re-roll and see if he chucks this into center field or not. And he does. So being aggressive sometimes pays off. It forced the error as Sullivan throws it into center field. Stolen base plus the error. And now that puts the leadoff man, Franco, at third base with nobody out. So the infield for Boston will have to come in against Pat Tabler. That's a 6-6, and that's a ground ball second base C with the infield in. The runner's got a hold. That's 1 away. If it had been a ground ball B, they would have gotten the runner at the plate, but on a C, he just holds. So there's 1 away, and look who's up again, Mr. Anti-Clutch himself, Joe Carter. Technically not a clutch situation because there aren't 2 outs, but to me this is clutch. So Joe Carter steps to the plate. In the game, Joe Carter is 0 for 4. Talk about somebody being due. He's so overdue it's not even funny. 4-7. Ground ball second base X. We're looking at Marty Barrett, who's a 2E11. Infield is in. 2E11. 2 and a 3. That might get through. Let's see. 2 and I'm looking at the outfield chart. My bad. Let me get the infield chart in here. 2 and a 3. Double die comes through again because that's a G3 pound, but with the infield in, the pound turns into a single. So it'll be a base hit for Joe Carter. He comes through with the infield in. He comes through with a base hit. We'll check for an error. I don't think there was one. There's a 9, and he's an E11. There is no 9 there. But the G3 pound, that pound with the infield being in, cost Boston, but they had to do it. They had no choice. If the infield wasn't in, they still would have gotten the run home with the G3. So, what are you going to do? You have no choice there. So the Cleveland Indians take a 4-3 lead. And now Ed Vandenberg is loosening their bullpen along with Ernie Macho Camacho. Double barrel action in the Cleveland bullpen. Here's Doug Frobel. This is his first at bat since taking over defensively. You can see on his card he had 40 at bats and hit 100 on the replay on his real season with 2 home runs. On the replay, he is hitting 300. He's 3 for 10. First base is Joe Carter. I don't know if he would be. Well, actually, he's going to try to get a lead. I don't want to take that away from him. He does have a good chance to get a lead here on 2 through 5. And if he gets it, it's almost guaranteed stolen base. He does not get it, so it's a moot point. All right, now here's Frobel. 3-12 for Frobel is a fly to center. That's 2 away. 2 away, and that brings up Brooke Jacoby. That is a 3-3 for Jacoby, and that's a pop out to third. So that's going to be an unearned run because that runner would have never been at third without the error. Well, he might have. Actually, you got to piece this together because he was at second base. A ground ball to second would have sent him to third and the single there. So to me, that's an earned run. I'm counting that as an earned run. I don't know what the computer is going to do, but I would count it as an earned run as we reconstruct the inning. But either way, it doesn't matter. It's a run. And the Tribe now take a 4-3 lead going to the bottom of the 10th. And we will be seeing a new pitcher for Cleveland as Rich Yett did his job. He went 2 2/3. And let's see what he did here. 2 2/3. And he gave up just the 1 hit. He did walk a batter, but he struck out 3. More importantly, 0 in the run column. And Ernie Macho Camacho coming in to pitch for Cleveland to try to close the door on the Red Sox. Ernie Macho Camacho. Real season, he was a closer in like 86. He had like 20-something saves. He had troublesome 87, but Cleveland didn't know that back in the day. They're still going to use him as their closer. He's 0-1 with a 9.22 ERA real world with 1 save, 14 innings pitched, 21 hits. But I've used him quite a bit as a closer, so he's got some saves in the replay for Cleveland. So we're going to the bullpen for Ernie Macho Camacho. And we'll get the numbers on Camacho on the replay. He's 1-1 with 5 saves, but his ERA of only 3.38. 16 innings pitched, 16 hits, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. So Camacho going to be facing the heart of the order, Barrett, Boggs, and Henderson because Rice was injured. So Barrett, Boggs, and Henderson due up for the Red Sox. Here in the bottom of the 10th of now a 4-3 game. 5-7 for Camacho. Oh, he hit a bad number there. 1-5 is a double. That's a 19. It'll just be a single for Marty Barrett, but that is the tying run. Getting on base right away. You're not going to bunt with Wade Boggs, not as good as he is. Camacho, however, is a +6 hold. So that's going to be terrible, +5. And Barrett's going to try to get a steal. Going to try to get that lead. Needs a 4 to get the lead. Does not get it. He will hold. And here's Wade Boggs. Wade Boggs, your batter. Whoa, that red die didn't go through there, so let's redo that. Only 3 of the dice went through, not all 4. That's a 2-5 for Boggs, and that's a ground ball second base A. Wow, what a break that was. A tailor-made 4-6-3 double play. Wow, Wade Boggs, a 2-5. Talk about a bad roll to get. 2-5, ground ball second base A. And the Red Sox faithful just groaned on that one. as Cleveland turns the double play, and now it's all up to Dave Henderson. Unless they want to pinch hit with Mike Greenwell, and I think they will. They're going to call Mike Greenwell. Mike Greenwell will come in and pinch hit for Henderson. I figure he's got a better chance of getting a home run or a hit or something like that. He's been red hot in the replay. So Mike Greenwell will pinch hit for Henderson here in the 10th inning. Mike Greenwell. Let's get the numbers on Greenwell. Real world, in 412 at-bats, he had 19 home runs with a 328 average. See what he's doing on the replay. Greenwell on the replay. This will leave Glenn Hoffman as the only bench player remaining for Boston. So Greenwell on the replay is hitting .349, 8 homers, 20 driven in. So we're going to see what happens here. Camacho against Greenwell. They could bring in Vanderberg to offset this, but I think they're going to trust Camacho to get the save here. 2-5, and that's, it's a ballpark blast on a 2-5. That's an 8, but home runs for lefties are only a 7 at Fenway. So Camacho escapes by the skin of his teeth, a deep fly ball to right field. Clark at the warning track in front of the Boston bullpen makes the catch to end the ball game on a deep, deep fly to right field. And had we brought the left-hander in, that would have been a triple for Greenwell. And the game would have still been going on. So Camacho gets the save. Camacho gets the save. He gets the job done. Of course, the double play from Boggs was immense. So deep fly to right by Greenwell, and the ball game is over. Cleveland wins it in extra innings, 4-3 over the Red Sox. And we will go to the box score and get all the results, all the stats. For Cleveland, 4 runs, 12 hits, and 1 error. For Boston, 3 runs, 10 hits, and 2 errors. Schiraldi will take the tough loss. And the computer gave it an unearned run, but in my opinion, it was an earned run, but I'll go with what the computer says. But in my opinion, it was an earned run. No walks, no strikeouts. So Schiraldi drops to 2-3 on the replay with that loss. The win goes to Rich Yet, and he improves to 1-1 and gets his first win of the replay. Camacho gets save number 6. Remember, he only had 1 real world, but I've used him in a closer situation. He's got 6 saves. So there you go. Red Sox fall to the Cleveland Indians 4-3 here on this Tuesday morning. As we look ahead to Wednesday morning, we are looking ahead to the next game in the replay for tomorrow morning. And it'll be game number 310, and we will be at Yankee Stadium as the Seattle Mariners take on the New York Yankees, Mike Moore against Rick Rhoden. So that will be game number 310. That'll be tomorrow morning, Yankee Stadium. So we go from Fenway to Yankee Stadium in back-to-back days. Tonight, if you're so interested, the Demolition League will feature the current World Series team, but this is last year, 2024, when they were in last place. It'll be the Blue Jays against the Kansas City Royals in the Demolition League. But a lot of the players on the Blue Jays World Series team were on this team in 2024, so it's helping me learn the players and such. So there we go. Thank you all for spending part of your Tuesday morning with me. Thank you, Kathy, for the trivia questions, the emoji questions, and the World Series questions. Thank you for everyone who chimed in and chatted and kept me company during this time. For those that catch it later, hopefully you enjoyed this presentation of Strat-O-Matic Demolition League. Even though this game didn't really affect anything in the standings, Cleveland does get their 20th win. They go to 20-27. Boston drops to 18-28. So that's going to do it from here. Next game of the replay tomorrow morning from Yankee Stadium. It'll be the Seattle Mariners and the New York Yankees. And then on Thursday, we'll be north of the border in Toronto, and we'll be having the Toronto Blue Jays taking on, now I'm trying to remember who they play. I got to look it up on the schedule. Toronto will be playing, I believe, let's see here. Let me look at the schedule real quick. My mind's drawing a blank all of a sudden. I don't know why. Toronto will be playing Oakland. That's who they're going to play. That'll be on Thursday. It'll be Dave Stewart against Jim Clancy in that one on Thursday. Then on Friday, we go to the Metrodome in Minnesota for the Brewers and the Twins. So those are the next 3 games to finish out the May 28th schedule, which was a Thursday in 1987. And then on Friday the 29th, we will be starting anew. But on Friday, once the final game in the AL is played, we will be playing the 1987 National League game, the only one played on May 29th. That is Atlanta at St. Louis. That'll be played Friday afternoon. It'll be 1987 National League action where you get to see the pitchers hit. So, and of course, I'm letting the Strat computer sim the other games of 87, so we can keep a running total of the 87 season. So when it comes time for All-Star game and World Series and stuff, we got all that covered. So that's going to do it from here. Time for me to go heat my coffee again and maybe get a little bite to eat for breakfast. So until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I'll see you all down the road.